the World Wildlife Fund is a educational tool. It's not only that; it's also a fund or foundation that helps raise awareness about the wildlife or ecosystems, and you can donate to them if you would like. Also, sign up to receive notifications and volunteer. Um, but we're going to be looking at the educational side of things. So obviously, up here we have the main titles. So this is just more of explaining like what they do. So if we click at ecosystem or an environment like forest, it's explaining, gives a little overview, why it matters, what they're doing to help, and just it kind of explains what they're doing. You can browse the photos and the videos, and that's just more of learning more about like the website and everything. People, this is an interesting category that I found on here. Um, you can actually look and see like their inclusive approach, which is obviously a really big deal in our society at this day and age. And it just gives different articles, different research that you can learn and read more about. Some stories. You can view all these stories from different places in the world, and just more about how they're using inclusion, like for example, empowering women right here. You can click on that and read more into those. And then more of an educational side. Most I've found that this website would be used for a science class. Um, Maybe younger kids, because I mean it could be used for older kids too. The terminology might be a little more helpful for older kids, but the pictures and the videos that it provides would be really good for the younger grades. So if we just click on one of these places, this is like some of the places that they're helping out in, and it gives you a bunch of information. I mean, this is just the first page, the basic facts, and then you click here and all these photos and videos that you could actually use in your classroom. Um, so if you're teaching a subject in science class about like these animals or these ecosystems, and you can actually use these photos in your lesson, and it'll give you the different species that live here, all of the information about them, and then the people, the threats, what they're doing, and how you can help. Um, they also have this thing over here that for example, this one's adopted a giant tortoise. So if you click on that, then you can like you can donate money, and you can they'll give you this kit and everything. So and it's basically saying that you're adopting and naming a tortoise that's out in the wild. So it kind of connects you closer to the wildlife and what's going on. Just a way for them to raise awareness. It is a nonprofit, so all the money goes to the cause and the proceed. And then over here, this would be really good for a educational purpose. So it has all these animals. You can go down here and click View Species. Once again, the Adopt an Animal thing pops up, but you can like click on any of these species and learn more about them. And you can go down here. If there's a certain species that you're learning about, you can search it in this search bar right here, and you can use that in your lesson plan. But this is what we're going to focus on over here is the teaching resources. One of the things I didn't like was it wasn't up top here for you to find easily. You had to dig a little bit, but it is very useful. So over here they have all these toolkits for primary education, secondary education, and then even a health one that you could use for 3 to 5 and grades 6 to 8. So it has different variety. Obviously, for math and history and English, I guess English you could use the articles on here and read about those. But it's definitely going to be more of a science thing. Down here they have videos that you could play, protecting coral reefs and learning about dogs, conservation in Mexico. And then here is the other educational tools. So there's an interactive animal quiz. There's these teaching tools over here. A video game, obviously that's going to keep kids very engaged. So that could be like a homework assignment that they could be learning but also having fun with. Um, a bunch of educational apps on the iPhone and iPad. And then, whoops. But this is the one that I was really interested in, being a physical education major. So this is actually an example of what like the website gives. So you actually the kids would have fun doing stuff that relates to like the animals. So, for example, the frog jumps. Instead of calling them squat jumps, they're standing with your feet apart. You're squatting down, touching the floor, and spring up and jump. And when you land back down, you go down into a squat like a frog. So obviously, they might find that more entertaining, and it helps in other classes as well, especially for younger kids if they're learning. Like you can collaborate with your other educators and kind of learn at the same time. And then down here for the older kids, you could do the activities, but then you can have a journal reflection. For the elementary levels, you might not need this, but for the older and more advanced grade levels, this could be really good to have a little journal reflection, a little assignment that's due, like a exit ticket, or when they come in the next day, they hand it in. And then down here, just some motivational posters. Work out your wild side. Trying to keep kids active and get outside and do stuff. But it has all these different ones. This is just the freshwater week, so you could do different activities for different weeks. So if we look at the forest week, obviously it gives different animals and different activities. So I just think it's something a little fun that you could use. Obviously, this wouldn't be your lesson plan, but you have a lesson plan and you would incorporate this into it. So now let's look at what I reviewed the website. Instructional Goals, I gave that a 2. It's very instructional, very helpful. Not much to comment on that. Easy to navigate. I gave it a 1.5 because there's not any help guides, but there is a help button that you could press in order to receive help. If you had any trouble navigating the website, which you shouldn't. But finding that educational tools, I thought that might be like a little difficult because it was kind of hidden down there. Reliability too. It's a very reliable website, reliable source. It's free, free to use any of the tools on there, and you can donate. Obviously, it doesn't ask you. You can subscribe, but everything is free to use as an educational purpose. I gave this a 1.5 because there's not a tour, but there is an about section at the top of the page up there, so you can read about like what the website's about and stuff. External links, obviously all of those were external links. That I clicked on most of them before doing this. They all worked for me. I thought it was kind of fun. Contact information at the bottom of the page. It gives the contact information, and then obviously you can sign up here. It gives where they're located, connect with us, and then all that. Tells you it's a non-profit, tax-exempt charitable organization. So it gives all that good stuff right there. Site maintenance, it's very well kept up to date. The pictures are updated. The site is updated. A very nice, easy to use website. And awards, I get a 1.5 because it doesn't have any named awards, but it's been around since the fund has been around since 1961. So it's a very renowned site and foundation. So, but it doesn't have any named rewards on there, so I just had to give it a 1.5. So overall, 16.5 out of 18 points. And then for the actual review, name of the website, World Wildlife Fund. I put new/old, and then to go bounce off of that, the website is definitely newer and kept up to date, but the fund has been around since 1961, so that's where it gets that new/old from. So obviously, for our purpose, it's new. This website was intended to raise awareness and raise money for helping wildlife, and but it's also intended for educational purposes. As you can see, all the articles, all the aids that help teachers with lesson planning and engaging activities. I would suggest making an educational link at the top of the page, like I said earlier, just so they can have like easy access for teachers to get on there and not have to look and try and find it. Most of the website is used for educational purposes, but to find those lessons that or the things you would use in your lessons plans, you may have to dig a little bit. Audiences, it could be intended for teachers, students, and parents. Obviously, if you wanted to send it home for homework, or if the kids had a research project, the parents would be able to help them out on that because it's very easy to use, very easy to navigate. Grade levels, I would say K through 7 or 8. High school maybe a little bit old, but For a science class, it's definitely a possibility. So high school PE and the health may not engage them as well. They may not find it as interesting, but definitely for the younger kids. Subjects: science, some PE/health, and then also when I was going through it, I found that it could be for English. You could use a lot of the articles you could use for reading. Um, as well as it shows you how they're doing inclusion and diversity. So for classes like I took one here, EDU 315, it could be used for that too, for an article on there. Um, I would say for educational uses, it's not a sole lesson plan. It would be used as a tool inside of your lesson plan. Um, and then a few examples: the physical education portion to keep the kids active in class while they were doing uh, activities an animal would do. I think that's fun and exciting. As well as, you see it's not bold there, but let the students pick an animal to research about for like a science class. Obviously, there's tons of information there. And then the standards 3B and 3D stick out to me. And then the pros is the relevant research information that engages and intrigues students. Lots of great resources for a lesson plan and easy to navigate for the most part, other than that finding that educational actual stuff that has the stuff for the lesson plan. The cons can only be used for certain subject areas. It doesn't have much variety. Per the example that Professor Capel provided, that gave a lot of variety in articles and stuff that you could use to read for basically any subject. This one, I mean, not so much. Yeah, I don't know how you would use math for this website, but similar sites. National Geographic is very similar. Better work. I mean, Nat Geo, the kids one, it's pretty good for younger age groups. Gives a lot more variety and activities that are related to kids. This one's more of education, like informational purposes. And then there's the Discovery website out there. I wouldn't say that they're better or worse. I would just say it depends on how you would like to use them. I do recommend this tool and this app. I would use it if my content lined up with this website. Being in PE, teaching younger kids, I would think it'd be great for that. I think I would have a great time. I would recommend it and use it in my classroom regularly if my content did line up with it. And I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I just feel like, since it doesn't have that variety, that's what brings it down a little bit, and then having to dig for that those teacher tools.